Update on the ground in Chile. Let's go now to our correspondent Alejandro Kirk, who is on the ground in Santiago. Hi, Alejandro. What's the latest?
The latest is that we have come across the city to interview a deputy at his home, and we in our right here were able to see huge crowds of people going to vote. This is something that maybe it's normal in other countries, but not in Chile. In the last elections, we have seen a 60, 70% abstention and people not willing to vote. Older people were the only ones voting, and the younger people just did not trust the system that has compelled them to be in debt for education, private health, not having a future. So this is totally new here. That's why we came here to see Deputy Thomas Hirsch. He's an independent deputy and former presidential candidate. Thomas, thanks for speaking with telesur. What's the meaning? You say I said there are huge crowds. What's the meaning of young people voting at this point?
Yeah, first of all, thank you to telesur for being here now. I think it's one of the most important days in our life in Chile. Finally, after 30, 40 years, we are going to be able to get rid of Pinochet's constitution. I think that we are the only country that 30 years after a dictatorship, we still have the constitution of that dictatorship. There's no other country in the world with that situation. And today, yes, as you said before, we are seeing a crowd voting. Many years, the politicians said that young people, they are not interested in voting, they are not interested in politics. That's not true. Definitely is not true. The point is that when there is something that is important for the young people, for the people in general, for the Mapuches, for the women, for the workers, for the students, they are all going to vote because they know that it's important for the future. So I'm very happy that people are participating since very early in the morning. We saw crowds of people everywhere. I was voting in Peñalolén. It's a very poor area of Santiago. It's part of my district, and we had very long queues. But from the other side, everything was very quiet, very working very well. So I think we are going to have probably 70 or more percent of people voting in this election.
The turnout is important, but also important is to win a landslide majority for the approved option in the referendum. Um, some people are saying, Tomas, that this referendum is not worth because it was cooked by the powers that be, and it's another repetition of what happened in 1988, where political forces got together to keep the constitution and the neoliberal system that it supports. So why is this going to be different? How?
Well, first of all, I'm absolutely sure that this plebiscite and this process is the result of the mobilization of the people, not of the kitchen, as we call it, that happened last year in the 15th of November, an agreement that was signed by some of the politicians from the different parties. This is the result of people who, a country that woke up. We say Chile despertó. Chile is waking up. And because of that, of the pressure of the mobilization, now we have the opportunity to get rid of the constitution of Pinochet. The politicians, some of them, they want to say that is their result, is what they done. Definitely it's not like that. In fact, me, myself, and Acción Humanista, my movement, and many other political parties and movements, we didn't sign that agreement. We didn't agree because it was absolutely non-democratic. They stayed out of the room, the social movements, the original people groups from this country, Mapuches and all the other groups. The students were not in that room they were not able to discuss and to propose. At that time, the women were still discriminated for being in a parity relation in the process that we are starting now. So that agreement, 15th of November, was not a real democratic, popular agreement, and we didn't sign it. But now we are participating with a lot of energy, with a lot of enthusiasm in the plebiscite because it's the result of the mobilization of the people of this country, not of the agreement in the kitchen of some politicians.
Well, but yet it is them who set the rules for this most likely winning constitutional convention. So the rules that they put together impose a two-thirds majority for every decision. Otherwise, there will be no decision on key matters and things will keep as they are now. So what's the key to break that limitation and go forward according to what the people are demanding? More mobilization, or as it happened in 1988, telling people to go back home?
Look, being a member of the parliament, I'm absolutely convinced that the changes they never happened in the institutional level. The changes happened because people organize themselves and people mobilize themselves. That's the key issue. And it has been always like that in the human history. The end of slavery, the 8 hours working day, the right to vote for the women, everything, if you look back in the history, was the result of the organization and the mobilization of the people. The institutions, they go after that. The same happened here in Chile. So,
but the people don't have, these people who were demonstrating did not have a leadership nor followed political parties. On the opposite, I mean, they
yes,
actually reject even people. I mean, politicians going there were expelled.
not all. I was always there. So, not all. And people know exactly who has been always with them. In my case, for example, I've been 40 years fighting against Pinochet's constitution, as many others, of course. I was in jail because of that, as many others. I threw the constitution of Pinochet when I was a presidential candidate to the garbage, to the trash, because it was a bad constitution. But yes, people reject the politicians that were completely separate from the people. And I think that's a very interesting attitude. It's true that since last year, since October last year, there were no leaders as the normal way we see in demonstration. And I think that's something very interesting. The new generations, they like a new way of relation, a new way of organization without a specific leader, but more with a connection, is a sort of a sensibility. And I think that's quite interesting. I think the old political parties, they have to rethink the way they behave and the way they have the relation with the people. I think that's not only in Chile, definitely, in everywhere in the world, in Egypt, in Spain, in the States, everywhere the relation between the political parties and the people is changing. People don't believe in the old institution. Nor the political parties, nor the businessmen, nor the church, nor even the sport leaders. I mean, they are all in a question.
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Hirsch, for talking to teleSUR. And that's it for now, Stefania. We are going to be on top of events here. Probably later on the final results coming around 8 in the evening, and the huge, according to what we have heard, celebration to take place tonight at Dignity Square.
A very, very important day for Chile, and of course teleSUR will continue to cover this important day along with our correspondent Alejandro Kirk, who's in Santiago. Thank you, Alejandro.